Hello, everyone. Woohoo! Welcome to the Flow from School Live. I'm here, Lisa Berry with GP Walsh, my and your master spiritual teacher, everyone. Ooh, today is going to, I want to say solve the problems in your life, but really we're talking about the problems in your life and how they're actually the solution. They were a solution. They will be a solution. And this like beautiful, like tug of war almost it feels like in your life, but really it's a handoff. You're handing off these problems and solutions. And why I can almost guarantee you will experience this is because I had heard GP say somewhere along the line about the problems that we're having in our lives are there to protect us, to keep us safe, and they are actually were created as a solution. And I'll share with you guys. I did not believe this. I was like, "Come on, you are no, no, you're in la la land. My problems were never a solution. I was rejecting this." And then I had the aha moment, which I'm so hoping that as you share this next hour with us, that this will kind of just like permeate your being. But I woke up in the middle of the night morning and I thought, oh my gosh, what if that problem, because there was a problem that I was having that there was no way was going to be a solution. But what if that problem was the solution? What if I had created it to help me to solve something along the way? And the answer was yes, by the way. And then I, of course, reached out to GP and said, okay, that's the show. We've got to do this. I can't believe you were right. Well, of course, I can believe you were right. So everybody, stick with us through this hour. We are going to have some really great conversations, but you've all heard this before. There was no obstacles on your path. The obstacle is the path. This is a Zen saying. And GP, I'm going to be asking you many questions as the student. And what we do here on the Flow Live, everyone from Homeschool Live, is we'll have this session, classes in session kind of thing, and then we'll check in. We'll have a recess halfway through the showish, and then I can check in with some of the comments that you guys are sharing. So please post your comments. Anything that comes up for you, share them, and please like us. Please give us a thumbs up and like the show. we need that. And GP, are you ready
to be liked? We need to be liked.
So okay, bold statement here that the problem is the solution. Okay, so what I'm going to start here is when that's a big statement, because a lot of people, including myself at the time, was the problem is something I need to fix, but a solution I don't need to fix. So I'm having, right from the start, people are going to look at the problems in their lives and go, there's no way there's a solution. So how do we even open up to inviting this inquiry process that the problem could be the solution?
Right. Well, at one time it was, right? And it's really the way we have to look at it is it's a continuum, right? It's a circle, right? Everything flows from one thing into another. Nothing is ever static, right? Every moment is constantly shifting. And so what is a problem in one moment will become the solution. They're actually one energy, right? You can't have one without the other, right? You can't have a solution unless there's a problem, right?
Right.
Right. And the joy of finding the solution and the excitement of it and the great relief and everything wouldn't exist without the problem. And the intensity of the joy that comes with the solution is directly proportional to the amount of pain that the problem is causing.
Oh.
Right. You can't have one without the other. Right. If you don't love, you don't grieve. If you don't grieve, you don't love. Right. The degree of grief you feel is the degree of love that you felt that you have lost. Right. And the grief is not a problem. It's the solution. Right. People want to get rid of the grief, but the grief is the way the whole system, body, mind, and soul processes a loss. If you don't have the grief, you don't process the loss, and you don't move on and open yourself up to what's coming next. You cannot stop loss, right? This is the nature of life. Things are always transforming from one thing into another. So if you simply look at it, that what you are struggling with now that appears to be an obstacle was put there by you prior to this because it kept you safe from some circumstance that you were in. It's the adaptation of the child. If we can go back to the child stuff, where it inevitably starts, because we start as children, right? You have to compensate for an environment that isn't hospitable to you in some way or another, right? That compensation is an adaptation. You adapt yourself to the environment, right? It works perfectly. If it didn't work, you wouldn't be listening to the show. You'd be dead, right? And they'd already have mourned and grieved you, and you'd be just a memory on a phone somewhere, right? Right? I mean, you would barely be significant anymore, right? So your adaptation was a solution to the problem that it wasn't safe to be yourself, and so the body morphed itself into something so it would be safe and so it would survive. Now, that adaptation makes assumptions about the nature of reality, the nature of experience. And so even though the circumstances have changed, the basic strategy of interfacing with life has remained the same. And so now it gets in the way of you being and doing and all the stuff that you want. So now it's become a problem. The solution has now become a problem, right? So now how does that become a solution again? Well, the solution is basically seeing what the mechanism that is actually stopping you, right? Because everything, right? If you simply stayed in the same environment, accepted things as they are, you had no kind of conflict with it, you never wanted to reach any higher, it wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
The problem is a reflection of the fact that there's a deep desire to grow and be more free. And now something is inhibiting that from happening, right? Now you have to look at that which is inhibiting it, recognizing it that it's a solution that's no longer viable. Right? And be really excited by the fact that the only reason it's showing up as a problem is because you've grown to another level. Otherwise, it wouldn't be showing up.
Now that's seeing it with eyes of love. I have to tell you that, because you're like, thank you, problem. You helped me through a situation, and it's that witnessing of it, and yeah, opening up with eyes of love to see this. Something came to mind in the beginning of that, because that was a great encapsulation of it, because now there's lots to tear down. Because I'll share with people as you're watching, I am going to be asking, okay, how is being broke a solution? How is being a bad relationship a solution? How is gaining weight a solution? So I will be asking those. Are you familiar with this saying, one cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it? Have you heard that? I want to go
Yeah.
there because when you said about it's the problem and solution are the same energy, same vibration, same, this. So that kind of had a little conflict in my brain there for a second with that thing, like the same. I can't solve this with the same mind. So if it's the same energy, how can I get into a different frame of mind then to help that solution?
Well, yeah, the same, that same perspective. Let's look at mind as not just this thinking thing, but just a way you perceive the world.
Okay.
Right? It's the lens through which you see things, right? And that's made up of beliefs and assumptions and a whole bunch of things. So obviously, you cannot possibly bring about a change, right, from the state that's actually creating the circumstances. Something has to shift. You have to see it differently. That seeing of it differently is the shift, is the change in mindset. You can call it a change in perception or perspective, right? But within the same state of mind, this is terrible. All these, this is terrible. It shouldn't be happening. Right? Grumble, grumble. That won't solve anything. How can it? Right? It's not open to any kind of a solution. Right? It's just griping about about what it is that's happening. Right? Something has to shift. There has to be a shift in perception, because it is our perceptions that are creating the circumstances.
I was just going to ask you that. I wrote it down. So creating the circumstances, I was going to write, we are creating the circumstances. The circumstances are not creating the problem. So our perception is creating the circumstances, and then we are choosing or deciding if it's the problem or the solution.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the circumstances are all neutral, right? You take two different people, put them in the same circumstance, and one will be just cool with it. The other be like, yeah, yelling and screaming.
Right.
Right. What's the difference? Right. Nothing is objective. This is the great insight. Nothing. It's all subjective. Right. The circumstances are completely innocent. There's no such thing as a problem and a solution. Objectively, I have to say it is for it to be that. The moment I say it, for my experience, it becomes that, and now I live in a problem.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Of my own creating.
Yes. I didn't think I was going to have another aha moment, but that's okay. I get that. Yes, because
fresh out of aha moments.
Yeah. I thought they'd have to renew a little bit, but okay, you're right, because I love that. Until we say it's a problem, the very thing actually in our own lives can become a problem one day and not the next. And like we can be looking at it depending on how safe we feel. So if we feel safe, it's not a problem. But the moment we no longer feel safe, it's a problem. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
And so
something has to be done about it.
Yes. Now I can't do anything else. I can't even eat until I figure this out.
Well, actually, that's true to the degree that you feel unsafe. You know, if it becomes intense enough, nothing else matters. You have to get out of danger, fight or flight. You have to. Right? It just takes over completely. To the degree that you feel safe, to that degree do you have access to creative resources.
Right. You know, as I have to tell a cat story. I was walking the cats the other day, and and Brinks saw a little chipmunk, and I knew he was going to go after. So I tried making a lot of noise and everything. And this little smart little fella, fight or flight, he was on like a grate, I think you call it, like little metal railings or whatever, and he could go in. But I didn't think he was going to fit under. They're surprising little guys. And I was like, wow, he had to make a decision. I don't know what's under there or if I can fit, but I know this cat's coming after me. So he went, and he was safe. And so he wasn't thinking, I better wait, I'm in a patch of clover, I need to eat. He's like, safety. So yes. that we create a solution of where we can go. What can we do so that we're safe? And sometimes, this is where I don't want to challenge, I hate that word, but invite some help here for some people. Where's our perception coming from, where we've created a problem of poverty or financial difficulties as a solution? Like where are we coming from to do that?
One of the most fundamental questions I ask in reconciliation when working with people in groups is, once you get in touch with that energy, go, what are you protecting me from? It's protecting you from something, right? If you're always struggling with money and finances, your nervous system is protecting you from a perceived danger. You don't have to think, is it? No, it is. Right? Because it lets you, if it's safe, it doesn't care what you do, right? If it's not safe, it contracts, and it has the power over circumstances. So like your chipmunk, sitting, eating clover and stuff, he dove into some little place that's probably dank and dark, not a nice place to be, right? But it's safe, right? Because safety wins. Every argument, safety wins, right? Which is why in inner reconciliation, I teach you how to reconcile with the safety mechanism, because you can't beat it. You have to get it. You have to get it to see that it is safe, right? It is safe for me to have that job promotion. It is safe for me to have more customers. It is safe for me to go on a date, right? It is safe for me to lose weight. They're always some kind of buffering against a potential of danger that the nervous system assumes is there, right? And you have to remember, these assumptions are put in place when you're still very, very young. And even though the circumstances, objectively, the circumstances don't really support it anymore, right? Your nervous system hasn't got the message. It's still living in the world of where you weren't safe, and so it's projecting the lack of safety on absolutely everything. Even though the cognitive part of you is saying, "Well, this would be better, right? What's the problem with you, right?"
Yeah.
And it's just going to, yeah, whatever. It pays no attention to you. I mean, you're insignificant.
Not winning that court case.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So one thing that I learned through my process, because then I once I had that aha moment with this one problem in my life, and I thought, wow, what if this is actually a solution to something? I started playing a game of every problem in my life that I was foreseen as a problem. Could I put this to use? Could I use this formula? And I really love the image that you chose for the show, which is a little girl on the chalkboard, working out a problem and a solution. And what I love, I'm using that as an
And not doing very well at it, because you can see her head just kind
yeah,
of.
she's like, I can't got it.
I'm not getting this.
But why she might not be able to, and why I was recognizing with that image itself showed me something, is that because it's not, where's the camera video, it's not problem solution, there's like all this stuff in between. So what we might think, oh,
Yes.
being overweight is the problem, being broke is the problem, it's and so we think, okay, well, safety comes into that, now we're using our assumptions, but there's so many little things. When you talked about clients, you said about a business, so maybe it's not that having the money isn't the thing that's not safe, it's that having all the clients will take up all your time, and that's not safe. So it's not a direct connection to the problem.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why you just can't analyze your way out of this. You have to have an interaction. You have to become sensitive to your own inner energy, which is really inner intelligence. It's the intelligence of the system and the way it interfaces with the world. And it does it at a level that's so subtle and so constant that, we're not capable of analyzing it. The mind isn't capable of analyzing it. We are capable of conversing with it, right? Because it is you, it's life. I mean, it is you. It's not like something else out there, right? It's just all the parts of you that you have disowned. So where were we going with this?
There's this formula, and so not being able to analyze it is, and that was the thing. So if we I like this. So there is a few steps that I was going to share in, you were saying, so how might we learn the steps of, I love that you said we love living under the illusion that we are the captains of our destiny, but that is totally delusional. We are the participants. I like that, participants. We are the participants in a vast cosmic dance. So you may as well learn the steps. And the steps here, I'll read them out because I love their bullet form. And if you guys are missing this, I'm reading from the light letter. So if you're not on the light letter, we want you to go and get on the light letter by going to .com and then signing up there. And then you'll also get the free ebook of Angels in the Basement. So that's one of the things that can help with this is too. So harmonize. So I'll say them, and then I just want to go with them a little bit, but harmonize with the flow. Let go of the idea that you can control the destiny of life. Be open to the utter mystery of it. Embrace the surprises. Grieve the losses. Learn to dance and love the journey. Harmonize with the flow. So when we are seeing things as a problem and solution, we're not really in harmony, are we?
No. No, we're not. When you see that it is simply an intelligent solution to the circumstances as they are perceived by the energy system, then you realize that nothing's wrong. It's doing exactly what it was supposed to do, right? And it's behaving exactly the way it needs to behave. And it's doing exactly the right thing under the assumptions under which it's laboring, right?
Mhm.
So the consciousness now becomes the recognition. And of course, the first step of awakening is to realize that this is a mechanism going on and it's not you.
Ah.
That's the big one. Because prior to that, I have a problem, right? I just see it as This is me, this is stuck, what's going wrong? And we're fighting with it. And because we've so identified with it that we don't have the capacity to understand it. But when I get a little bit of distance and recognize that this is programmed responses, this is conditioning within the nervous system and not me, right? Even a little glimpse of that is an enormous amount of freedom, because now I can begin to approach this mechanism from a different place, from the place of love. I recognize what it's doing. And it's not trying to mess up my life. It is simply trying to keep me safe. That's all it's doing. So now I have to begin to engage with it, right? Because the dots could be, as you were pointing out, it's not the money, right? Why am I doing this? And you try to get rid of your money blocks and things like that. When in fact, it may simply be that it's afraid that if you do, your life is going to change in a way that will be worse instead of better, right? Somebody wants a promotion at work so they can get a better, they can, a nicer house, or, all the stuff, more responsibility, because everybody wants to grow, right? But the nervous system, right, could be saying, well, if completely unconsciously, well, if you get that promotion, the guys you're hanging out with now, your peers, you go for a beer after work, they're not going to be your employees. You're going to have a completely different relationship. If you make too much money, you're going to move to a different place. It'll be a different house. You're going to have different friends. The kids will be in a different school. This isn't such a good thing, is it? Right? And so there's this basic assumption. And the fact is, it's true. Those things are going to happen. Your life is going to change. And so now you have to go, oh, I in my mind, I think, okay, I get this. It's going to be wonderful and everything's going to be happy and glorious and everything. And not realize every change in circumstance brings its own problems. It brings a shift in the environment. And one of the key things that the nervous system resists is a change to the environment. Because if it's in an environment where it's absolutely certain it can keep you safe, it is going to do everything it can to keep you in that environment, because it doesn't know if it can make you safe in the next one, even if the promise is it's going to be better, right? Because maybe, but we're sticking with what we know. That's the safety mechanism. And it's not, it's an accountant. It's not taking chances, right? So the conscious part now has to engage it in such a way that it will allow a gradual change to take place, right? And that first shift, the first change that it detects is when you stop fighting it.
And the stopping of fighting it, which is hard because you're really engaged in an incorrect, like in a harmful way at first. There was a comment I'm going to use this from Barbara, just about sickness. When you talked about getting distance to recognize that it's not you, and then you can engage with it. So make sure you have that distance first. A lot of people will identify and say, my depression, my cancer, my, right. So that is, I don't feel like there's a lot of distance there. Like it's
right.
So does it help at all by changing the language, or is that just external stuff? Is it really a frame of mind that we need to?
Well, if you're just trying to change the language, hoping you're going to get different results, you're not really changing the underlying structure of it. It's like, somebody trying to practice law of attraction, just trying to change their thoughts, when the underlying belief that created the thoughts in the first place remains the same, right? Now you've got even a worse conflict going on, right? And a lot of people beat themselves up terribly, right? I tried to attract something and I got something worse, right? Because the energy shifted. In terms of physical illness, you have to realize that it takes energy to keep you safe, right? And if there's something that you're really afraid of, right, it's going to take an energy to keep that down. That energy, which could be going to other places within the system, right, creates a deficit in the system, and that's where the sickness comes from, right? It simply cannot deal with the environment in all the ways. So it's because its attention is all focused here. And if you look and so the appearance of some kind of physical problem is a symptom of the underlying energetic disruption, the fact that there's not enough energy there to take care of it. right? And the nervous system is simply prioritizing where that energy is going to go, because it doesn't have infinite energy available to it. You do as consciousness, but not as the body. The body has limited energy, and it does its best to manage it. Like, any time, if some part of the body is really dangerous, it'll shut it down, right? Until it falls off, right? Because it's better that the bulk of it survive than this one part, kill off the whole organism. And this is the way it works on an energetic and emotional level as well. It just contracts you, right?
I like looking. I'm glad that we used the illness to that one, because the illness is a trick. It's not tricky. Illness seems to be very different than other problems and stuff in our lives, because I like that you shared that it's more of a deficit of energy. And interestingly, we're using this one because on the weekend I actually I couldn't eat. Like, not that I couldn't eat. When I ate, I felt so full, like a bite, and I thought, okay, I'm supposed to back. So I thought about this. The problem wasn't the food; it was that my energy was needed elsewhere so much that it wasn't allowing for digestion. It said, back off, leave me alone. I need the energy elsewhere right now. There's nobody on the shift. So,
Yeah.
This is a vacation day. And so that is so interesting, because if we could get the distance, I love that you said that, if you could have distance to recognize that it's not you, then you can get a glimpse and have relief. And so, Barbara, I invite you or anyone else who's challenged on the health level, if you could see that it's not the problem, it's actually in that case, is it possibly a result and a solution?
Yes. Well, the solution is still going on, right? The actual relationship it has with the environment hasn't changed, right? And it may be even taking more energy, because it's getting more and more difficult to deal with that, to deal with the environment. So it's in its solution, right? and as a result, it's creating problems, right? So the solution is energetic. The solution is the energy has to be released from what it's doing, so it can go to the other places that it's needed, right? So you could say that's the problem, right? But from the point of view of the energy, it's not a problem. It's doing what it has to do, right? And it's doing it perfectly, right? So you can't call that a problem, right? So what's actually happening is you're putting more unwittingly, you're putting a strain on it that means it has to take resources from other places, right? It's like when you get a cold, right? The body, it throws you flat on your back. You don't have any energy for anything, because all that energy has to go to vanquishing the little critter. If it doesn't, you die. Simple, right? Even the simple, the common cold will kill you. If the mechanism just let it in there, it'll just continue to spread. And so it makes you hot. It makes you, weird sounds and stuff coming out of you in all sorts of different ways. That's what it's got to do. That's what health looks like, right?
Right. I love that. I love that's the most human basic one to look at. So we can all kind of relate. And then as we take this up, and that's actually more that goes with that step of harmonizing with the flow. That was perfect. And then letting go of the idea that you can control the destiny of life. So we're kind of back to our episodes of who moved the goalpost and stuff.
Yes.
So and everyone, if you haven't seen that one, I'm going to nutshell it in one statement here, is that we're looking to have a plan, not specifically goals. So we like plans. We definitely do. But you can always watch that one too on the previous shows. The letting go of the idea that, so we have that control. And so is thinking that we have control in our lives a problem, or is it a solution because we don't like the chaos that's going on? We don't feel
well. It's a limitation.
Oh, okay.
Right. And of course, because it's a limitation, it's going to create what we would call a problem, because the resource you need in the moment isn't available, right? Because you've limited yourself, right? So the relationship with everything has been severely limited, right? Now we would call that a problem. What's the problem? The problem is I got to fix something? No, if there's a problem, it means you have to liberate yourself from that limitation so that you have the resources that has you constantly interacting with the flow of life, right? From the place of this unlimited being, that which has complete access to all your inner resources. So it's always about the relationship with it and how limited you believe yourself to be, right? Because that belief about your limitations, which is much deeper than just a head belief, I mean, it's just really embodied. It's in the entire body. Literally will create the circumstances.
Yes.
If I can run into a situation and I'm convinced I don't have what it takes for that situation, I won't have what it takes. Not because I don't, but because I believe I don't.
Yes. Yeah. And there's so many stories that storyteller mind, or wherever it wants to be, comes up and says, okay, so that's an interesting thing. So the story, let's bring up that little fun guy in there. The storyteller comes in and says, you can't do this because of all these things. It's keeping us safe. But what if we haven't seen that evidence for so long, like decades? Maybe it was only once that we saw it as a child. Is it really that insidious that it's 60 years later, 40 years later, 80 years later, and like, can it is controlling our destiny at that point?
Well, I wouldn't call it insidious, but it certainly does. It never gives up. As long as that belief. Remember, these beliefs, I call them energetic assumptions because they're put into place before you can talk, think, any of that kind of stuff, right? And so it gets instilled in the system. And if you're a young child and your environment isn't safe, and it isn't for any of us, some extremely unsafe, some not, some moderately, and some very little, but there's always some kind of inhibition in you being fully expressing who you are. If that is your experience at the very earliest, it gets embodied in the system as an actual fact. It is reality. It is not. And therefore, that belief is now creating the perceptions of everything you experience. You will unconsciously be walking through life saying, it is not safe. The universe isn't safe. People aren't safe. Relationships aren't safe. Nothing is safe. Even though your mind will be thinking, oh, this looks safe, this isn't. Underneath is this basic assumption that is creating a filter through which the entire world is being seen. The belief always comes first. But because we're ignorant of the way the belief affects perception, we really believe that what we're looking at is objectively true and not a perception. And that's why we say, well, there's all this evidence for it. Well, the evidence, yes, it is evidence of what? It is evidence of the belief, not of reality.
Ooh, hold on. It's the evidence of belief, not reality. Because are we plucking things out?
We're amplifying that which confirms the belief. We're filtering out everything that contradicts it. And every experience is interpreted from the perspective of the belief.
Okay. And then because of that, then we start to choose actions, people, places, things that will keep that momentum going on.
Everything. The type of shoes you wear, what you do with your hair, right? What you watch on Netflix. Everything is determined by it. It's the essence of the belief is the identity. It's who you think you are, right?
Wow.
And somebody commented here that said, Liza said, Adyashanti said that the ego is the actual shapeshifter. Yes, because it's totally insubstantial. It's the storyteller mind. It makes up an identity to fit the belief. And so now the belief isn't just a belief that I'm looking at. The belief is who I am. The I is the ultimate belief.
Oh, that's good. Everybody write that one down. I is the ultimate belief. So I have that's going to be our sentence.
That is the ego.
Yes, and you know what's funny? I This is a funny memory. When I was just checking life out, you going from a little child into a teenager and trying to find out, you had to have a style. Are you a prep? Are you a metalhead? Are you a you know a athlete, or all these things? And well, I kind of liked all of the outfits. So every day I would try one out. And my mother pointed out that she said, because she used to watch me walk to school, she said, Lisa, do you know that you walk differently every day? And she said, you don't have a walk. You change your walk depending on what you're wearing. And I was like, yeah, I know, because you can't walk like this in those shoes, and you can't walk like that in this outfit, right? And it
That's
was
right.
you're right. And so I can see that now. So depending on who you believe you are today,
Oh, it's
this
it's
decade,
everything. It's
all of your
everything.
choices, including the way you walk, talk, speak, who you hang out
Yeah.
with, what you consume. Oh, okay.
I had a friend of mine, a woman, and she dated a guy who had multiple personalities. She didn't know it at the time, and obviously, when she found out, it was like,
Oh,
But she showed me 2 pictures of him,
oh, I got this.
and in one, he's like handsome, he's slender, right? He looks really good. The next one, he's like fat, literally fat. He's kind of slovenly. You couldn't tell that they were the same person.
Really? That's amazing.
And multiple personality is simply you've been so wounded that you cannot stay as somebody, right? But the only way you can allow yourself out of that box is to not know that you've just become somebody else. And when you're in that box, the other boxes don't exist, right? It's very extreme. We all do that, right? That's the nature of the ego. That's how it gives itself permission to get out of the box for a minute. It just becomes somebody else, right? I don't want to go off into that. It's a very interesting subject, but it indicates that the body will take the shape of the right.
Yes.
And if it on one level, it's the clothes you choose and the way you walk and like, but it also affects the health of it, the look of it, whether you can lose weight or not, right? All these things. I mean, the body is the mind.
Yeah.
The body is
Messages.
evidence of the beliefs.
Ooh, yes. That's a good one too, guys. The body is evidence of, and a lot of people even say if they've been harmed physically, just in any way, doesn't sexual abuse, all those things. They don't want to leave the house. Perhaps they're not safe. They will potentially gain the weight, as a cover up and everything. So yes, I'm familiar with that.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So with this, I wanted to, oh my gosh, I can't believe this time. So hold on, everybody. I have to go to recess just for a second here. And what a great timing though, because we can clearly see that everybody is now. So I'm going to use this recess time to invite some people to some classes and some ways to help get through these processes. Because GP, honestly, everybody's got problem solutions, right? And so knowing where to start. Um, when somebody is okay, you offer so many courses, and we're looking at this. Where does one start? How do we pick the biggest one? Pick the one that's running your life the most.
um, Very rarely can you get at that one right off the bat,
Okay.
because it's, remember, you've been living your life this way. You're in an ongoing relationship with yourself from a particular perspective, and that's not going to shift like that, right? So it starts with the yoga of allowing, right? It starts with, you have to begin to shift the relationship and thus the perception of yourself, right? And all the things that are happening. I mean, just thinking that, oh, okay, this problem I'm solving, wait a minute, it's a solution to a part of me. That's a shift in perception, right? The moment that takes place, you're now open to a completely different world. Instead of trying to fix things out here, you're now opening to how am I being with myself? What is this trying to protect me from? And when you realize it's protecting you so well, it's really powerful. I mean, it can shut down anything. What if that same energy, instead of shutting me down, was actually making the things happen? I mean, whoa. I mean, it absolutely can shut you down, like incredible huge parts of your life, totally. Right? That's powerful. What happens if it was working towards your goal?
I love this. And so that is the yoga of allowing. And how long
It's the
is that
first step.
course? Yeah. How long is
Well,
that?
the yoga, I don't remember. It's an audio course. It's like 14. I think it's about an hour and a half. I think
Okay.
there's 14. There's 14 pieces. Each one of it is a little explanation plus a meditative exercise. Then there's also the entire Just Allow It course, which is 5 volumes, right? Which is hours of progressively going through this reestablishment so that you begin to allow your life, right? Rather than fight with it, because you can't fight this energy. So you have to reestablish a relationship with it, right? That's the book, The Tao of Allowing, right?
Yeah.
It is. That's where it has to start. Allowing is simply regarding yourself with love, right? And that means accepting those parts of you that you thought were your enemy, and they turn out to be your friends. That's the angels in the basement. It's kind of a theme I got going, right?
I think it is. I think it is. Well, you know what the magic is, guys, when you do these, and I've noticed that all of your students have pointed this out, is that the more you just listen and do the self-inquiry and the meditations, it it's like a level. You kind of get to a little more and a little more. It's not like bang. And you might have the little step is actually feels like the bang, but there's just so much more after that. And so it really is like I had you on. I think I listened to you from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed on Sunday. It's funny because I came to Sat Song as well. I'd love to do an invitation, everyone. On it's Tuesday today that we're doing this live, but on Sundays for 2 hours plus, because GP likes to help everybody. You do Sat Song live, and you can go to YouTube where we'll stream it, at different locations, but you can always find it there and then watch the replay. The best thing, of course, is to become a patron. Yes, we love the patron. So come on over to gpwalsh.com, the patron program. It's only $15 a month. And that way you get all of the stuff. It's organized. You can ask questions, and it's a way to participate with GP live once a month on like
Yes.
a patron class call. So that's that's our little recess bell here. and now for the last 15 minutes, I'd like to just really take a look at the comments and invite any
Okay.
more, because I invite you to, and I want to, word my word, I want to invite people to share what is the problem that you think you are dealing with now. You don't have to go into detail. You could simply be sharing. It is a weight problem, a confidence problem, an anxiety, a sleep problem. Doesn't, could be, I don't know. You have allergies to dogs.
All the above.
All the above, right?
Yeah.
So, Sylvia does it. I like this question right away, though. Can we really change our beliefs, or is it a mind thing? GP? Beliefs are mind.
Yeah. Let's be really specific about what we're talking about. When we're referring to mind, we're talking about patterns of thought, right? Can we change patterns of thought? Right? You cannot change patterns of thought without changing the underlying beliefs that is creating the pattern, right? Right? If you wanted to destroy the solar system, you just have to take care of the sun, and everything else will just kind of fly away. There's essential beliefs that are not thoughts, right? But create the patterns of thoughts that are repetitive. The underlying belief is always in the body as an energetic assumption, right? If it's just a thought, you can question it and you say, is it true? Is it not true? Right? But if it's an energetic belief, you can't do it at the level of mind, right? Yeah, because you could say, oh, it's safe. And the energy is going, no, it's not. So how do you reach it on that level, right? That's why this kind of self-inquiry is critical, because you're going beyond mind, you're going beyond thinking. So yes, you can shift the belief. That is, you can shift the way the nervous system perceives the environment, but you have to get right down to the heart of it. And the way you do that is to create a shift in the environment, right? Remember, the nervous system is a totally adaptive system. The reason humans are so successful is because we are so adaptive. We can, there are not many critters that are more adaptive. There's only one critter. There's only a couple of critters, and actually aquatic reptiles like frogs or salamanders or stuff that live in every single environment on the planet. Desert, desert to Arctic, right?
Wow.
Because they are so adaptable. For the frogs and toads, it's their skin. And there's some that will literally freeze solid in the winter and then thaw out in spring. The freeze solid,
Amazing.
they're dead for all intents and purposes. And then spring, what? Ribbit, right? I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, life is amazing. Anyway, so because it's an adaptive system, right? It won't change, right? That's the belief, right? Is an adaptation, right? That it won't change until the environment changes. So in inner reconciliation, I focus all the attention on the environment. What is the environment in which it's living? If I change that, it will immediately begin to adapt to the new one because that's its nature. So where I start by shifting your relationship to it. If you're fighting it, you are dangerous. It sees it's in a dangerous environment, and so it's resisting you. But if you shift and you start to accept it lovingly, oh, you're just trying to protect me. You're my friend. Boom! Immediately gets the signal. Oh, okay, it's a little better now. And it adjusts. And if it's consistent, it begins to throw away all the old behaviors because it doesn't need them anymore, right? It's now adapting to a new environment. So the primary thing is shifting your relationship with yourself from trying to fix, right? Self-help, psychoanalysis, all these things to try to get you fixed to one of total self-acceptance. That's what the yoga of allowing is. That's what allowing is. I simply allow myself to be what I am. I allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. It's okay. What a difference in approach. Imagine somebody coming up to you and saying, I really don't like this about you. You've got to fix that, right? Right? What's, how responsive are you to them?
I've had that happen. Actually, it's horrible.
Yes. It's horrible. You retrench,
hide.
But what if somebody comes up and says, wow, I really love you. This is the best. You're the best thing in the entire world, right? Just the way you are, right? You just immediately melt into that, right? And then eventually you'll be able to say, well, is there anything I could do better for you? Right? You just want to at that point, right? You go, well, yeah, by the way, there is, if maybe we could work this out. You go, yeah, okay. It becomes completely malleable because now, the shapeshifter, as we pointed out, the storyteller, right, is now going to be creating a whole different set of stories because the environment in which it is living is not the same environment anymore. It's all about creating an environment of safety. And another word for that is simply love.
That was absolutely beautiful. I can think of so many from light and fluffy scenarios to like really hardcore ones on that. So I hope that if anybody else felt them, I would love to hear. And I'm going to this one. What's funny? Liza had shared that one of her problems was finding her passion in life. And a question that came up for me, and I'll let GP go on this one, but for when you just shared that, GP, is the environment for you, Liza, to find your passion in life one that is, you better find your passion in life or you're not going to make it. You're not going to be happy in it. Like if it's in a not safe and not comfortable, not loving, not an allowing place, perhaps one would be resisting or not be open to finding that passion because they're so scared, like, I don't know. So does that come into play here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will guarantee you that at some point in your life early on, when you really were expressing yourself with great exuberance, it was not acceptable. So having a passion isn't safe. That's the conclusion the nervous system drew. And nobody gave it any reason to doubt that, right? So if you're like, just even the sense, I can't find my passion in life and I need to, right? is a conflict, is an inner conflict, right? right? So it's just holding on. Now you got to find your passion. God, what? I can't do that. If I find my passion, I'm going to get hurt. I can't express myself with exuberance. I can't go reach for what I really love. That's not safe. Right? And so the first thing is recognize it is a safety mechanism. Period. The fact you can't get in touch with it is a solution to a problem. The problem being, if I express it, I get hurt. Right? So now you got to stop being the problem.
Yeah.
And become the environment in which it's okay for it to do that, right? Which means you simply make it okay. How many times a day do you say, I shouldn't feel that, or I need to do this, right? I have to do this. I can't do that. I really would like to, I can't do that. How many times you say that to yourself? You'll be amazed if you just stop and become conscious of it. You'll see all the different little ways in which we keep shutting ourselves down, which communicates to the system. Yep, you're right. Yeah, it's safe. I can't do that. And that ends up just kind of bringing the entire level of energy down to the point where it's not even safe for you to think, to have an idea for something you might like. And that's the experience people have when they say, I can't find my passion. And that gets to the extreme, it becomes clinical depression.
Yeah, and then all the other solutions happen of why you can't find it, because then the weight starts happening. Well, now I can't work, or then the too much weight will cause so much inflammation, and now you have fibromyalgia or arthritis, or you break something.
It just keeps
going.
going.
Oh my gosh. So
yes,
she does share that she was stressed about it for so many years, and now she is more relaxed, and that's great. So there's a shift, right, from distance.
Oops.
But in that shift, and in the environment, is something's happened. Hopefully. And now she's got some distance. What is that next step? Okay, I'm a little bit more relaxed, I've got some distance here, I'm looking, is it take the course of yoga Malawi?
Well, I used to avoid saying things like that because it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I don't really know how anybody can do this without a teacher, because it's so subtle. And we're so easily distracted, and it's so good at distracting us. It's so good at throwing a rock in the bush, right? The moment you start getting close, it shapeshifts. It turns into something else, or it sidesteps it. It takes a spiritual education to become really attuned to how it works, and simultaneously developing the compassion towards it that allows you to create a different environment. Because the more conscious you are, the more authority you exercise. The system, it's just stunningly, it's miraculously beautiful, right? Because it's the perfect instrument for self-expression. Right? It will do whatever you want it to do. It has no limits, right? But the problem is in the beginning, right? The problem is that the solution in the beginning was it had to keep you safe in order to be able to do that, right? So the energy that can be available for this passion, for this self-expression, for brilliant creativity, for whatever it is that you feel drawn to do, which will be unique for every single individual, that energy isn't available because it's over here defending itself. And so it is a liberation of this energy that allows for all that creative expression to take place. And that's what this is all about. And I don't know how you can do that without, somebody has to tell you that. Otherwise, you're going to just be fighting it, just going along the same kind of patterns. And so somebody has to come along and say, no, it's not what you think it is. It's very different. And that shifts right now. Even in the course of us doing this program, people have had a shift, right? Right, because they're feeling that there's completely accepting energy of love, right? That is basically loving them as they are, right? Your energy immediately responds to that, right? And for the vast majority of people, You need to have somebody come into your life that can hold that space for you, hold the safe space. The energy responds to it, shifts take place, and little by little you get to the point where you can hold it for yourself, and then you can hold it for others. It actually ends up holding itself, right? Because because it is your natural state.
I can attest to this about one of your I can't remember because I listened to so much there on the weekend, but it was holding space and is a teacher, and somebody else can also, they're holding the truth for you, and until you can you know it. And I woke up the next morning after my morning of, oh my gosh, my problems are solutions. The next morning I woke up and thought, what if all those problems, they're okay to be there. So my resistance dropped, so the first
Yes.
thought was, what if it's okay that they're there? Those problems are solutions, and even if I can't even get there, what if the problems are okay? They're okay to be there. And once that resistance dropped, I actually laughed out loud, which I'm glad the cats don't hear that. I'm laughing out loud, I'm giggling, thinking, oh my gosh, these quote unquote problems, it's okay that they're there. Now what? If I can allow them to be there, I can allow the possibility that there are a solution. And honestly, guys, that's where having a teacher really came in handy for me. I GP,
Yeah.
this has been a year now of all these little things, and they trickle in, and they do their little thing, and you shift, and then it is helpful to have space. And that's why I'm so glad you guys keep coming back here every Tuesday. And if you're new, thank you so much for showing up. Please give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the show, because I see some wonderful comments there. But I just want to read a couple through these comments, then we'll wrap it up, because we do go for the hour. And but you can always leave comments whether you're watching the replay or not. But GP, is anything showing up for you? Okay, here. What do you see?
Let's see. Creative Revolution says, I still don't get how my problem is a solution. Bad student is my solution. Right? Just look at it, that what looks like a problem is a solution to a circumstance you don't even know you have. Right? So it's not a problem as far as the whole energy system is concerned. It's only a problem to this part up here, because you want to reach for something and you can't get it. Something gets in the way. There's resistance to it, right? So you say the resistance is a problem. No, it's not. The resistance is the solution the system has, because it regards what you're reaching for as dangerous, right? And so we call that a problem. And from the perspective of, I can't get what I want, that's a problem, right? But the problem is actually the nervous system's solution to keeping you safe. So now just turn your attention in, what are you protecting me from? And then you'll notice that if you can hold the energy of what it is you want, keeping the desire, right? Not denying it, because it's natural too. And notice that the resistance is there, but you step out of the fight, right? And you say, okay, I want this. You don't think it's safe. Is it really not safe? Or maybe there's a different way of looking at it? If it isn't safe, well, then of course I'm going to let it go, right? Yeah. What's the point of doing something that isn't safe? But if instead you say, well, is there a safe way that I might be able to have this? Or maybe something, like it that's different? Notice I'm now in a negotiation, right? I'm now reconciling these two powerful energies, the power of desire and the power of safety. I'm reconciling the two of them. I'm not taking sides anymore. I say, look, is there a way we can do this? And that's how you reestablish the flow, right? Now, the internal harmony is happening, right? Must be something to do with the cats.
Yep, sorry, I'll be right.
So it's okay, Susanna. That's why I have so many problems. Yes, to keep me safe.
There's lots of solutions there.
You have lots of solutions. So what? Yes, all of them. So, oh, okay. So there's a very fundamental belief at an energetic level about the nature of the world, which keeps you in a particular position. And that's what you see as a lot of problems, right? That's a perception, right? And we see things all over the place. So just kind of drop out, say that this is a result of an unconscious view of the world that I'm holding that is restricting me in very severe ways. Now, if that view of the world is true, then then what it's doing to protect me is absolutely correct. It's doing exactly the right job. All right, so what if it isn't true? Right? What if the world doesn't look the way I think it does or the way it thinks it does? Now, that's just a question you're posing. Because if it is that way, then this is the way things have to be. Right? But if it isn't that way, then this can change. So now I'm not trying to fight it. I'm just saying, let's take a look. Is the world like this? Or is this just what it used to be like? And it isn't that way anymore. Let's take a look. Notice it's it's a totally open-ended question, and you're open to the answer. And that gives permission to the nervous system to simply stick a toe in the water, right? Okay, I mean, you really want this desire? I'll check it out, right? And it takes to, oh, it's not as bad as I thought. Or maybe, well, wait a minute. I don't know about this. And you can literally feel it doing that, right? It's checking, okay, this is all right. Nope. All right, well, let's try over here. So you've created the space. You have become safe enough that it can question the assumption. Right? Until you become safe enough, you're constantly reinforcing its view of the world because you're basically acting towards it in exactly the way it assumes the world is. You are embodying that belief. So you shift. That's all I have to do. You shift. It'll start taking a look at the world, and it'll start dropping its assumptions because it doesn't need them anymore. And you have given it living proof that the world is safe by you becoming safe. That's always the first step. That's why it's all about, it starts with allowing. You have to become safe, and we don't realize that we're not.
It's amazing. It's true. Like I have asked those questions now, let's say the last 5-10 days that this was swirling around. And I thank you for sharing that. I think it was Creative Revolution who said that, or Ava.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure which one, but I didn't realize it was always coming back to because I wasn't safe, because I didn't feel safe, because I didn't think I was safe. But I actually have come through some big ones this past weekend and recognize that with just that little shift, that I am now safe. I can provide safety by changing some things, some ways, and some beliefs. And I was able to get to those things just by those little questions, but I wasn't able to go right away. I was only able to stay in the beginning there with, my problems are my solutions, and what if it's okay the way they are. And I really did sit with those for so long. But
Yeah.
thank you, GP, because that was you're my teacher in life, but you're also my teacher in audio courses and stuff. So please know that everybody, there's so much available for you to be guided and helped along here. So many opportunities. And we'll wrap up, but let's thank everybody as well for showing up here, at all the wonderful hellos and appreciations and showing up here, because this show is here because of you guys, and that's why we're showing up.
That's right. Yeah, you're not a problem. You're the solution.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So please continue to leave any comments, because if there's something big that we have missed, or that GP feels that we could go back and we'll make some comments and respond accordingly, so to help you guys out. And is there anything else that we want to invite or do anything? I think we've covered everything on this one.
We have. Yeah.
Yeah. This is good. This feels good. So
I like the fact that we can actually we can play with the time a little bit. We were on the radio.
yes.
It had to be exactly, 58 and a half minutes.
Yes.
Right? And if we weren't done, we were done. Cut. Right?
Yes, so, off you go. So this is really
I like the fact that we can complete things here.
Yes, it feels good. And that whole yoga of allowing is really beautiful. So if everybody could just hold, we're holding that space for you. And if you need anything, please just reach out. We're always here. And thank you so much. Thank you, GP, for just always being here.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. It's great. Isn't she great?
You were my smart cat today.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
right.
guys, we'll see you next Tuesday on the flow.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.